In this video, I will show you how to do boot Debian Linux with Windows 11. I'm going to show you install Debian Linux alongside with the Windows 11 operating system on the same drive without any data loss. The guide which I will be showing in a moment is one of the easiest and safest ways that you could consider following it of installing Debian Linux on any PC or laptop. Also, at the end of this video, I will show you how to uninstall Debian Linux from Do Boot safely. Now, as per my testing, if you follow this video carefully, you will be able to successfully do boot your PC or laptop with Debian Linux. The only requirements of this video, you need Windows 11 or 10 running on your PC or laptop. Next, you need 8 gigs or higher pen drive to create a bootable disk with Debian Linux. You also need to reserve a free space of 40 GB or higher from your drive. And lastly, disable BitLocker encryption on your Windows 11 computer. That being said, moving into step number 1. To set up a Do Boot and install Debian Linux alongside Windows 11, you need to create a free space. To do so, open Start menu and type diskmg-empty. From the search results, choose to create format and partitions. This will open a disk manager which shows all of the connected drives along with their partitions. Now, as you can see in my case, one drive is connected. If you notice, drive 0 has 3 partitions. The first one is the EFI partition where the Windows bootloader is present. The second one is the main Windows, and the last one is the recovery partition. I'm going to choose the C drive to shrink the free space for Debian Linux. Now, in your case, it might be D, E, or F, whatever. Just choose the partition and right-click on it. Now choose Shrink Volume and allocate a minimum of 30 GB or higher for Debian Linux. You can type the value in megabytes. In my case, I'm going to allocate 150,000 megabytes and click on Shrink. This will create unallocated free space. Next, open your favorite browser and go to the official website of Debian Linux and download the latest version. At the time of recording this video, Debian Linux 12 is the latest version available to download. For now, I will be choosing a Debian Linux 64-bit installer. Now go to the second link in the description, which will take you to this page where you have to download a tool named Balena Etcher. Now this tool helps in creating a valid bootable pen drive with Debian Linux. You can also use alternative tools like Rufus and Ventoy to make a bootable USB. Now once it is done downloading all of the files, place them somewhere on your computer for easier navigation. Now go ahead and install Balena Etcher. Now connect the pen drive to your PC or laptop and open Balena Etcher. Select the first option and import Debian Linux ISO. Now select the USB drive and click on Flash to start writing the image file. Sit back and relax. The process will take some time depending on the writing speed of your pen drive. Now go ahead and reboot your computer. While it's rebooting, you need to enter into BIOS settings. Now use the keyboard shortcut based on your motherboard. Now mostly could be F2, F9 or Escape key. The first thing to do after entering into BIOS is to enable USB boot. Then change the boot order by setting the USB drive as primary. You go ahead and disable Secure Boot. It's not mandatory to disable the Secure Boot. If you need it, you can make it enable. Debian Linux can work with Secure Boot without any issues. But for now, I choose to disable it. Also, I'm going to clear keys or certificates after disabling the Secure Boot. Now once it's done, save the changes. Now your system will boot into Debian Linux from the USB drive. If in case it fails to boot, use the boot menu to load Debian Linux install media. Now choose graphical install option. If in case you're trying to install Debian Linux on your laptop, it's recommended to connect the Ethernet cable for the internet connection. Now choose the language. In my case, I will choose English as my default system language. Next up, choose your location and keyboard layout. Now the installer setup will start loading all the components and wait for a few seconds. Now configure the network. You can choose an Ethernet or WLAN interface for the internet connection. For now, I'm going to choose the first option. Now leave the hostname as Debian, and in the domain section, I will leave it as empty. Now set the password for the root user and create a standard user account by entering the username and password. It's time to create partitions for Debian Linux. In this video, I will be using the automatic option. I'm going to choose the largest continuous space. This will find the free space that we allocated for Debian Linux in step number 1 and creates a necessary partition. If in case you have a spare drive on your PC, you can choose an entire disk and select the appropriate drive to install Debian Linux. But for now, I'm going to choose the first option. Now as you can see, these are the two new partitions it has created, and click on continue. The installer setup will start installing the basic system files. Now once it's done, you will be presented with this menu where you have to choose your favorite desktop environment. You can choose GNOME, KDE Plasma, and XFCE. In my case, I'm going to install the KDE desktop environment and click on continue. Now sit back and relax. The installation process may take some time depending on the writing speeds of the disk. Once it's done, go ahead and restart the computer. While it's restarting, eject the pen drive. Now by default, it will boot into grub menu. From there, you can boot into Windows 11 or Debian Linux. For now, let's boot into Debian Linux. Keep in mind, on some laptops that have Radeon graphics and NVIDIA graphic cards, you may notice a boot loop. To fix that issue, restart your PC. Then from the boot menu, highlight the first option and press the letter E on your keyboard. Now this will take you to the editor mode. Look for the Linux option and go to the end of this line and add this new argument. Now once it's done, press F10 or Ctrl+X to boot Debian Linux without using GPU. Now once you have logged into Debian 11, if you try to install any package using the terminal, you will see this message. By default, only root users can run system-level actions. We're going to fix that issue. In my case, KSQRL is the default user. I'm going to add this user to the sudoers list to gain elevated privileges. To do so, type SU to log in as the root user and enter the root password. Then type nano /etc sudoers and scroll all the way and add this line exactly what you see next to the root user. In your case, replace this part with your username. That's it. Now press Ctrl+O and press Enter key to save the changes and press Ctrl+X to exit. Now type exit to exit out from the root account. Now if you run any command using sudo, it should work. Once it's done, add these two repositories called contrib and nonfree to install the NVIDIA drivers. Now type this command and install NVIDIA graphic drivers automatically. Now once it's done, reboot your computer. Now this time it should boot into Debian Linux using NVIDIA drivers. And that's pretty much it. This is how you do boot Debian Linux with Windows 11 on any PC or laptop. As a bonus part of this video, if in case you don't like Debian Linux and decide to uninstall, then reboot your computer back to Windows 11. Now open the Disk Manager by typing this command on the Start menu. Here, next to the C drive, you can see two partitions which has been created while installing Debian Linux. Go ahead and remove these two partitions by deleting them. And now you will see unallocated free space that you can use and expand Windows. Now go ahead, type cmd and run as administrator. Then type the disk part. Now type list disk. This will show all of the connected drives to the PC, which is where Windows and Linux bootable files are installed. I'm going to select this drive by typing this command. Then type list partition to list out all of the partitions on this drive. You might see 3+ partitions. Look for the system partition or EFI partition. Now mostly it's the first partition. Now select this partition by typing this command. Once it's selected, type assign letter is equals to X to mount this partition temporarily. Now type exit to get out of the disk part prompt. Now type X:, this will change the directory. Now type dir to list out the contents of that partition. Now change the directory into EFI by typing this command. Now if I type dir, this will list the contents of the EFI folder. Here you can see Debian Linux and Windows boot files. Go ahead and delete the Debian directory by running this command. That's it. Now we have successfully removed Debian Linux. Now restart your computer. It should boot your system directly into Windows 11 and you won't face any grub issues. This is how you properly set up a dual boot on your Windows computer. And that's pretty much it. What do you guys think about it? If you have any questions, do post them in the comment section down below and I will try to help you. Thanks for watching my video. This is been KSK Ryle. I will see you in the next one.